Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show today. We're going to be running about an hour today. We're going to be diving into the 7 most common reasons that business credit applications are denied. And these aren't just for business credit applications. This really has to do with if you're applying for business credit cards, business credit lines, or business loans. These are the 7 most common reasons that people get denied when applying for financing or credit for their business. And we're going to teach you how to overcome these issues so you can get approved. So I've got a link if you're watching this live on YouTube. And if you're not, we do go live on YouTube every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/credit suite, and see our schedule. We're usually scheduled months in advance so you know the topics that are coming. And then again, if you're listening on our podcast, then check that out. And if you're not and haven't visited our podcast, make sure you go to creditsuite.com, top right of our page, find us on iTunes, and then you're able to get a couple different podcast releases every week as well. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at Credit Suite. And what we help business owners do is build business credit that's linked to their EIN, not their personal social, and help with obtaining all different kinds of business financing, including business loans and credit lines. And what we find is that a lot of people are denied for bank loans, denied for business credit cards, denied for business credit lines because of common reasons that could easily be avoided if people just knew these problems before they applied. And that's why I wanted to do this webinar today, to go through and to map out for you exactly what you need to know to avoid these common problems that a lot of business owners make, so you can actually have your applications for business credit approved and not denied. For anybody that's looking to get funding or business credit, feel free to visit us, creditsuite.com. For business loans and credit lines, we even have a link, creditsuite.com/get funding. And if you go to creditsuite.com/get funding, we can even help you get approved for business loans and credit lines and talk to you more about business credit as well. So when we talk about business credit, let's start there. We're talking about ultimately credit that's in a business name, and it's not tied to the business owner's credit worthiness. Instead, it really depends on how well the business pays its bills. So when we talk anything about business credit, keep in mind that we're talking about the credit profile that's linked to a business's EIN number. We're talking about credit that's based on the business's ability to pay, not the actual business owners. So consumer and business credit scores can vary dramatically from each other, and things that affect your ability to get consumer and commercial credit can vary wildly as well. So business credit, again, is based on the business's ability to pay, not the actual business owners. So since the business qualifies for credit, well, then when done correctly, which we're going to talk about today, then the credit's obtained without a personal credit check and without a personal guarantee from the business owner. And again, this isn't going to be a business credit 101 session today or map out everything you need to know about business credit. It's going to be talking about the mistakes that people make that cause them to get denied for business credit. But I think it's important to start with some of the basics of what business credit is for all those people that might not be familiar. So again, plus the business owner isn't personally liable for this credit that we're talking about because there's no personal credit check and there's no personal guarantee. So ton of benefits here. You have a much greater chance of getting higher limit credit cards if you're getting them for your business than you would as a consumer. So it's very common to see $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe $10,000, maybe a little bit higher limits on the consumer side. But in the business world, when you're getting credit card limits, it's very common for clients to see $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 limits in the business world, which is one of the reasons you really want to focus on building business credit. Okay, it's because businesses have a greater appetite for credit than consumers do. So because of that, the approval limits are much higher than what you're going to find on actual personal accounts. Now, again, per SBA, the limits on business credit accounts are about 10 to 100 times higher than what you're actually going to find with consumer credit. So another cool benefit about a business credit is when done correctly, business credit can be built without a personal credit check. And the reason for that is, and one of the mistakes people make, is leaving social security numbers on the application. So a lot of people, it's funny, I even talk to people that are convinced that you can't get business credit without a guarantee because applications have a social security field on them. Well, a lot of applications are going to ask for a social security number, but it doesn't mean you need to provide them. And if you don't provide a social security number, then what happens is they then pull your business credit and make lending decisions based on that instead of your consumer credit quality. Now, the benefit of that is that there's no inquiries on your personal credit and that you can obtain this business credit regardless regardless of personal credit quality, no matter how good or bad your credit may be. So even if you have good credit, you want to be conscious of not putting inquiries on your credit report if you don't have to, because that can adversely affect your ability to get credit lines. A lot of credit lines out there nowadays are based on inquiries that you may have on the credit report, can be a reason for denial. So business credit can be built regardless of credit quality. You're not providing a social, so there's not even a personal credit check, and there's not an inquiry on your credit report, nor is it based on your personal credit quality. And the credit's reporting to the business reporting agencies, not the consumer reporting agencies. So that's another huge benefit as well, because as you pay, you're establishing credit for your business, and it's not adversely affecting your consumer credit, especially the utilization. About 30% of your consumer credit score is based on utilization. What percentage of your high credit limits you're using? Well, by using and building business credit, then what happens is the credit reports on your business credit report, so even if you max the credit out, it won't adversely affect your consumer credit scores. So being accepted for business credit is not an automatic thing. Building business credit requires some work. So we're not used to this. In the consumer credit world, what happens is if you go get a credit card with Macy's, you expect for it to report to the consumer credit reporting agencies. But 97% of trade vendors don't report to the business credit reporting agencies. So things are a little bit different in the business world, because you have to consciously focus on building business credit. It doesn't just kind of happen automatically. And again, some of these steps are intuitive and some of them are not. And that's why so many people fail to build business credit. They don't know the proper steps. They don't know about most of these 7 mistakes that we're going to talk about, which is why they're making these mistakes, which ends up and the reason for them getting denied. So let's dive into the reasons. Reason number 7 for a business credit application getting denied is lack of company legitimacy. So startups in particular have to demonstrate that they are the real deal, that you're not a fly-by-night, that you actually have a real legitimate business. Otherwise, your venture looks like a hobby, okay? It looks like you're a dreamer, not a business owner, okay? And that's what you want to try to prevent. So what happens is one of the first things that any lender or credit issuer looks at is this secret set of standards they have to determine if you are credible, if you are a legitimate business or not. So for example, if you're using your home address, well, then that will give you more difficulty in getting approvals than if you have a real physical address or a virtual address. Now, a virtual address, for those of you that don't know, are offered from places like Regis or places like Alliance. You can go to creditsuite.com/virtual to see our preferred source of Alliance for virtual offices. So you want to try to make sure that you don't use a home address if you can avoid it. You want to try to use a physical address, but if you don't need to be in a physical location, we'll try a virtual address. Now, sometimes that will be a little bit too expensive for you. So then the last option you want to use is a home address, but you never want to use a PO box or a UPS address. Now, you should know, nowadays, Dun & Bradstreet and the reporting agencies are starting to put Google Street Views of your business location on your credit report. So if you are working out of the home and you use that as your business address, don't be surprised when you start to see pictures of your home appear on your business credit report. So again, is your company legitimate? Well, if you have a real physical location or a virtual address where it looks like you have a real physical location at a big, large building in Tampa, Florida, well, then that's going to give you the most legitimacy you can get. The second option, or the third option up to that, is home address. But the last option to always avoid is UPS or PO box address. Okay. So again, even if you work from home, there's a lot of legitimate businesses where you can work from home, but a lot of lenders, a lot of credit issuers are looking at this address to see legitimacy. If you're using a physical address, it just makes you look more legitimate than if you are not. So are you using a home phone number? Well, you need to make sure that you're using a business phone number. You can get these nowadays from places like Ring Central for $15 a month. It's very cheap to do. But what you don't want to do is use mobile phones or home phones as your phone number for the business. If you do so, that will not make you look legitimate. That will not make you look to. That sounds good. So toll-free numbers are best. You can get these from, again, places like Ring Central for 15, 20 bucks a month, sometimes up to 30 bucks, depending on the options you have. And a separate phone number for the business always helps establish business credibility, even if you come and forward the call to your cell phone, okay? So again, you don't want a child or anybody like that answering your mobile phone as your business phone, but that's not really what this is about. What this is about is that all lenders and credit issuers have a database. Not a database. They search the type of phone number you have just based on the number. When you enter a phone number in on an application, their computers automatically can check to see if that is a business number, a voice over IP, a personal phone number, a mobile phone. You just never want them to pull up a home phone or a mobile phone as your phone number. So still getting and sending faxes at the local copy shop. Well, you want to start getting faxes at an actual fax number that you own. You want to have a dedicated fax line. Okay, a fax number still gives you legitimacy even if you never use it. And again, you might not use fax a lot. I actually was speaking in front of a group in Los Angeles, and I asked this question. I said, how many of you use faxes? And I was surprised to see that a good portion of the audience still uses faxes. Although nowadays, what's common is e-faxes, where when you get a fax, it gets delivered to your email instead of an actual fax machine. So any application that asks for a fax number, you want to make sure you have it because it gives you legitimacy. Okay, your family member or friend built your website. Well, maybe that person's talented, maybe they're not. Okay, but you need to make sure that you have a professional website that's easy to navigate. It's very, very, very important, and it needs to answer basic questions, your customers' questions. What do you do? When anybody goes to your website, they should very easily, within seconds, be able to determine what you do. And that's why the center of your header on your website should clearly say what you do. That's really one of the easiest differentiators between good websites and bad. Is good websites tell somebody exactly what this is about, exactly what you do. Bad websites, people have to search for that, they get bored, and they abandon. But this is important for credibility because lenders, credit issuers will look at the online to find out information about your business, and you're better that they actually come in and find it from you. Now, when you're building websites, styles differ. Okay, wedding photographers, construction companies, I mean, obviously different industries, and they're all going to have different sites, okay? But you need to make sure you have contact us pages, about us pages, basic information about what you do, and make sure you use your own domain. Don't use a Wix or WordPress domain. So, for example, if you use Fixture or if you use Russell Brunson software to be able to build landing pages, websites, as we do, ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels can let you use their own URL, but you'd never want to use their own URL for your domain. You want to have your own domain hosted somewhere, which they let you do, because that gives you a professional image. You don't want to use the subdomain for Wix or for ClickFunnels or for any of those, okay? And again, you can get your own hosting at places like GoDaddy. It's very cheap to be able to easily do this on your own without having to actually come in and depend on somebody else's website. But things are different in the business world. Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, they look at a lot of places to get information about your business. They look at the Yellow Pages. They look at Yelp. They look at Facebook. They look at your own website. So a lot of what happens is they go to these other locations. They see different websites, different information, and then that creates mismatched information on your credit report. So there's a lot of reasons you want to have a professional website. You want lenders and credit issuers to know clearly what you do so they don't have to look elsewhere online. The same with your customers. And it's also important because the reporting agencies data mine places on the web to put information on your business credit report, and you want to make sure that information is as accurate as possible. So another big reason that business applications get denied is that you're commingling funds, meaning you need to have a separate business bank account when you're starting to build business credit. You don't want to use your home or your personal checking and savings account. You need to have one that's devoted actually to your business. Now, a separate business bank account bolsters legitimacy, and it shows a credit issuer that you're serious about your company and demonstrates that your company funds belongs to your business and that you're not dipping into them to pay your personal bills. It also means you probably pay yourself a real salary. So here's how this works. I always say one of the basic things you want to do before you start building business credit is set up a business bank account. But what you'll notice when you start applying for business credit accounts is they don't ask for bank statements. They don't ask for proof of a bank account. What they ask for is what's called bank references. So what they want to know is that they want to know you have a relationship with the bank, that you have an account. And if you have a bank reference, well, then that means that you typically have a business bank account. So even though they're not going to physically verify you have a business bank account when it comes to getting business credit, what will happen is they will oftentimes ask for a bank reference verifying that you do indeed have a business bank account set up. So it becomes very important. So another big reason that business credit applications get denied is that yours isn't a business according to the IRS. So the IRS makes it easy to get a free EIN for your business. And a lot of people make this mistake or have this misconception that business credit is built under a DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet. That's not true. Business credit is your business's credit report linked to your business EIN number, the same as your consumer credit report is your personal credit report linked to your social. So you've got to get an EIN number with the IRS before you could even think about building business credit. Now, you might not even realize that you can do business without an EIN. But again, if you're a sole proprietor, for example, it's very possible to do so. So you need to first make sure that you have an EIN with the IRS, or I should say second, and first, you need to make sure that you have a business set up, an entity set up. Before you can even get an EIN, you have to set up an entity. And you really want to choose a corporation as the preferred entity. You can set yourself up as an LLC as well, even though the IRS doesn't really refer to an LLC as an actual entity. But you don't want to be a sole proprietor or a partnership if you don't have to. If you have a choice, go with a corporation or even choose an LLC. Do not try to go with the sole proprietorship or partnership. Now, a lot of people can start off as sole proprietor. A lot of people do. But at some point, you're going to have to change it to typically a corporation to minimize risk and maximize tax benefits. But again, on this, you want to really choose a corporation or an LLC as what you use to file taxes, because that is where you can separate your personal and business liability. Now, again, if you are coming in as a sole proprietor, well, then at last resort, go in as a DBA. And a DBA is basically doing business as. So that way you're not using your personal name as the business name, as you typically have to do as a sole proprietor. So again, you don't want to personally be liable for your business debts. And the problem is that you often are going to be liable for your business debts if you're choosing anything other than a corporation or an LLC to limit your liability. So per the IRS, with this structure, you have a 1 in 7 chance of an IRS audit, and there's a 1 in 50 chance for incorporated businesses. So listen, if you want to be a sole proprietor because you think it's cheaper, well, then it might be cheaper when you set up the entity, but it's going to have financial consequences that are very severe long-term. One of those is that you'll always be liable for what happens in the business if you're a sole proprietorship, because you are the business. You'll have to get a DBA to even use a different name for the business. Otherwise, your personal name will be the business's name. But here's another one. 1 in 7% chance that you'll get audited as a sole proprietorship versus a 1 in 50% chance that you'll get audited as an actual corporation. So another huge incentive to being incorporated versus actually being a sole proprietorship. And again, that helps avoid confusion too, because a lot of times a sole proprietorship, the business name is your own personal name, which is not what most business owners want. So not having a DUNS number, another big reason that business credit applications are denied. So you want to make sure that you get your DUNS number right away. You can do this at creditsuite.com/DUNS, creditsuite.com/DUNS. You don't even have to put the dashes in it, just creditsuite.com/DUNS. Now, you can always go to DNB's website or do a search online as well to get your free DUNS number, okay? But it's very easy, and this is something that you want to make sure that you do, because that's what puts you in Dun & Bradstreet's actual system. And it's also needed to generate a Paydex score. A lot of people come and say, look, I got accounts with these credit issuers that report to DNB, but they're not reporting. Well, one reason that an account might not report to Dun & Bradstreet is that you don't have the DUNS number. In order to get accounts reported where you can populate a creditor profile and a Paydex score, which is the most popular score in the business credit world, you need to have a DUNS number. So one of the biggest mistakes that we see people make is not having this DUNS number. So with no DUNS number, there's no Paydex score and there's no business file even created created for you with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, once you're in D&B system, well, search Equifax and Experian site for your business as well. And you can do all this at creditsuite.com/reports. There's a few different things that you should know at this point. One, many credit issuers will approve you without a DUNS number. And I think that's the biggest mistake that people make. When you look through these 7 reasons that business credit applications get denied, you may have made one of these mistakes we're talking about. But then you think about it and you're like, well, I was able to get this credit card even though I made that mistake. This is a common misconception. A lot of people say, well, hey, look, what you may be saying is accurate, but I had no problem getting a credit card with Amazon because of, and so I think I'm going to be okay. The problem is what I'm telling you about with these mistakes will prevent you from getting approved with some sources and might not prevent you with getting approved with others. So for example, there is a way you can get approved for sources without having a DUNS number, but there's other credit issuers who won't even touch you without a DUNS number. There are sources like Amazon that will approve you if you're using a home address, but there are other sources like Walmart who will not approve you unless you have a home address. So even though some sources will approve you without a DUNS numbers, others won't. And I had one of these where I was helping building business credit for a company, and we applied for Staples and got denied. And then what we did was we said, that's weird. We have a D&B number. We gave them the DUNS number even though they didn't ask, and it immediately changed to an approval. So the DUNS number provides so many benefits, although it's not necessary and it's not on every application for credit you may get. It provides a ton of benefits if you have it. And a lot of credit issuers won't report or won't approve you unless you have it. And Dun & Bradstreet won't even populate a report to Paydex score unless you have it. So a lot of reasons you should get it, especially since it's free. Now you can go to creditsuite.com/reports to see if you have any information reporting with D&B, Equifax, and Experian now. One of the biggest reasons clients come to us is because they have bad business credit. They don't know about it. They go to get a loan, credit line, or credit card, and they're told they have bad business credit. And here's why. Experian and Equifax will populate credit reports for you and give you a failing score that indicates you are on the verge of filing bankruptcy, or about as high a risk as you could get to be filing bankruptcy, and you don't even have any credit reporting. So one of the first things you need to do before you start building business credit, see if these reporting agencies know anything about you now. You can do that at this free search, creditsuite.com/reports. There's a quick link to do a free search with D&B, Equifax, and Experian. Now, if you have a record with them, you probably want to pull your actual business credit reports to see if what they're showing is actually accurate and is correct information. If it's not accurate and correct, well, then you want to get it corrected. But the first step before paying for credit monitoring is go to creditsuite.com/reports. When you do a free search with somebody like Experian, you'll get one of 3 results. Nothing will pop up, meaning they don't even know you exist. A report will pop up, or a report will pop up and say trade lines. And it won't pop up your report. It'll just pull up your business information. Credit Suite 20547 Amberfield Drive. Trade lines. That indicates you have trade lines. If you just see your name and address pull up with no trade lines, that's a problem. You're probably being issued a failing score. Pull your reports at that point to make sure that you can see if the information reported is accurate. So again, when you start to get credit from places which report to Experian and Equifax, they will have something to report on when you notify them that you exist and start building that business credit report. But before you do, again, you could have a blank record and by definition a low score. So a lot of people argue with this and say, look, why am I issued a failing score when I have no credit established? Because in the business world, the fact that you have no business credit in itself is inherently very, very risky. So this is kind of what's crazy. A lot of people, business credit's been kept secret of. You might not even know how to build business credit, but yet it's held against you every time you try to get a loan, credit line, and credit card. It's why you have to build business credit, because a lot of these lenders and credit issuers are pulling business credit reports to make lending decisions. And if you don't have business credit and the reporting agencies know you exist, again, they can be issuing you this failing score, making it very tough for you to get money and very tough to get that money at good terms. Okay. So again, D&B Equifax Experian will create a report for a business even if you have no trade lines reporting. All they need is your business name and address to be able to do so in an SIC code. So this is why you need to be able to do this check to see where you actually fit in. So if Experian and Equifax have a company's basic demographics, they will populate that report as we talked about, but don't expect it to have a good score because they'll consider a company with no trade lines very, 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 very risky. You'll also have a low D&B rating because by definition, a startup company is considered to be high risk with D&B because they have no commercial credit scores established. There's no record established yet. So again, D&B's rating takes into account the financial health of your business. You can help get a better rating by giving them tax returns. If they don't have that, they'll look at the number of employees you have to determine it. But your D&B rating also takes into account your Paydex score. So you want to make sure that you build business credit to have a good Paydex score and pay your bills as agreed, because when you do that, that will factor in even as a startup and help you get a higher D&B rating, which is what lenders look at before lending you money. So even stellar personal credit doesn't matter when it comes to your first establishing a D&B rating. D&B is just trying to figure out if your company can pay its bills. Because D&B doesn't know that for sure, they err on the side of caution. So if they don't have enough information to determine that, they automatically put you as high risk because they're lacking that information. So several things you should take out of this. One, if you don't already, now you know D&B has a credit score known as their D&B rating. The difference is D&B's Paydex score is a performance score based strictly how you've paid in the past. All you have to do to get a good score is get accounts that report and pay them as agreed. D&B also has something called the D&B rating, which is one of the second most popular scores in the business world. It takes into account your Paydex score, i.e. how you've paid your bills in the past. It also takes into account the financial health of the business per your tax returns or the number of employees you have. So keep that in mind when you're filling out applications and saying the number of employees you have. When you're filing your annual reports, know that that information will come back to the reporting agencies and be calculated into credit scores. With D&B, it's known as the rating. And whether or not you decide to send D&B your tax return will determine what category of a D&B rating you have as well. So if you have tax returns, you're producing revenues, even starting to make some profits, it makes sense to get those tax returns to D&B, so they will issue you the higher D&B rating. That's something directly within your control. So reason number 3 for business credit application getting denied is that your credit is bad. Some places will pull your consumer credit reports, and if you aren't looking responsible to them there, they'll conclude that you won't pay them on time. Now, when does this happen and how does this happen? How this happens is this happens if you provide your Social Security number, period. If you ever provide your Social Security number on a business application for credit, you are going to be giving them a guarantee, and you are going to have them pull your personal credit, and your personal credit at that point will be used to determine if you are going to get approved or denied. The way to avoid this, of course, is to not provide your Social Security number, but some people have better credit and they have no problem providing their social and personally guaranteeing the initial credit they get to build their business credit. So for example, when you start building business credit, you may use vendors like Uline, Quill, or Granger to build business credit. Well, with those, other people may say, I don't want Uline, Quill, and Granger. I want Office Depot and Staples to start, and I don't mind doing it on a net 30 term, meaning I have 30 days to pay my bill versus a revolving account, and they have no problem providing their social and a personal guarantee to do it. That option wouldn't work unless you have better credit, but anytime you're providing that social, having poor personal credit can be an issue. Okay, because it determines that, let's be honest, you've had problems paying other bills in the past as agreed. So even if a creditor doesn't pull your personal credit, if your business credit's poor, then they won't take a chance on you either. Keep in mind that what happens is when you apply for a business credit card, loan, or credit line, primarily the lender is doing two things. One, they're pulling your business credit report, period. If you're applying for almost any kind of financing where you provide an EIN, they're pulling your business credit report. If you provided your social, they're then providing your consumer credit as well. Now they're using everything they have to make a lending decision. If you gave them the social, they're using your personal credit and your business credit to determine approval. If you didn't provide your social, they're using your business credit. quality to determine approval. So they're not going to take a chance on you and issue you approvals if your business credit is poor, unless, again, maybe you agree to outlandish, outrageous terms, which is obviously not what you want, right? You need to make sure that you have the best terms available. And I often say that that's what business credit will determine for you. Business credit will determine A, whether you get approved or denied for the credit and financing you apply for. B, how much money you'll actually be lent or credit issued or credit limits you'll be issued. Every credit report a lender or credit issuer gets from Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, or Experian, any of them, all has a recommendation of credit. The reporting agencies recommend how much money you should be given. Okay. And 3C, it determines the rates and terms you'll pay on the financing. So you want to build business credit to get approved versus getting denied, to get the most amount of money for your business, and to be able to do so at the absolute best terms available. So try to think about this from a credit issuer's perspective. They want to make money just like you do, but you look like a high risk to them, and that makes them nervous. So in that case, what they ultimately do is charge you more interest, and that's not what you want. Look, a lot of lenders do this. There are lenders even like On Deck. On Deck deals with revenue lending, and this is one of the highest risk lending type programs that's out there. A lot of lenders offer it. Your interest rates can be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. Even lenders like On Deck, who deal with high risk lending, still will pull your business credit reports and will deny you based on you having problems with your business credit report or low scores that make you high risk. So again, in the consumer world, you can't ignore your consumer credit report, right? Eventually you can have bad credit, not do anything with it, but eventually you're going to want to buy a home. Eventually you're going to want to buy a car. And that's the same thing in the business world. You can't permanently hide from not having business credit. Eventually, you're going to want to get auto vehicle financing in your vehicle, in your business name. Eventually, you're going to get a loan, a credit line, a credit card. And in any of these cases, that's when this comes back to bite you, when you have challenged business credit. So another reason for business credit applications getting denied is inconsistency in documentation. Actually, this is the number one reason that loans get denied at the big banks. Why should you care? Here's why. 89% of loan applications at big conventional banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America get denied. That means almost 9 out of 10 business owners that walk into a bank to get a business loan are denied. And here's what's crazy. The number one reason those applications get denied is because of this inconsistency in documentation. So basically, what's on your credit application is different than anywhere else listed online. Your name or your business address is different than when you apply for your EIN and what's on the Secretary of State than what's on the application. Or your incorporation documents say one thing, but your business address on your website says something else. So you've got to make sure that your information is consistent across the board. It's easy to take away this reason for a denial. Just copy and paste your information. It's that simple. So we see this all the time. One of the first things that we do with any new client of ours is we make sure that their information is consistent. And 95% of our clients, their information is not consistent. We find incongruencies between the information they give us, what they would put on their application, from what there is online on other websites, their website, Secretary of State data. And in a lot of cases, when we fix that one mismatched data, that one inaccuracy, they turn around, go back to the source that previously denied them and get approved. It's insane. We see people come to us and they think like we're magicians, because they'll come and they'll say, I just got denied for this bank loan. We said, no problem. Here we go. You're a client. We go through. We say, oh, your address on the Secretary of State records doesn't match this. They say, oh, I didn't know that. We fix the address mismatch. They go back into that bank that they got denied and they get approved. So this is one of the easiest things to fix. You just need to make sure that your information is congruent online. Check it over. Check over everything. Make sure certain it's right. Look at your bank account statements. Look at your utility bills. Look at, do a search for your business online. Look at Yellow Pages. Look at Yelp. Look at anywhere that your business information is listed. Make sure you look at your actual own website. Is the name on your website consistent? Is the address, is the phone number, are all these things the same everywhere that it's listed? Even stuff that's offline, like I said, like your utility bills, your bank statement. If you change your address or your business entity or anything else, then you've got to make the same changes everywhere. Now, we use a service called Yext for this, Y-E-X-T. There's a lot of other similar companies out there that are probably cheaper. What Yext does is whenever we change something for our business, it changes. We change it in Yext and it changes it across all these thousands of directories, Yellow Pages, and everywhere else that it's listed online. So again, you've got to make sure those changes are the same everywhere. Using services like Yext or cheaper solutions can help you do so. Okay, but you've got to make sure that this information is congruent. Your business name, your business address, your business phone number, your SIC code, your EIN number, the type of business you have, whether you're a corporation or a sole proprietorship. Anywhere this information is listed, your bank statements, your utility statements, with your landlord, online in Yellow Page directories, on your Facebook pages, on your website, with your Secretary of State, with the IRS. All of this stuff has to be consistent. If it's not, it's pretty simple to change. Like the IRS says, is one form you can download to change your address. You fill it out, you send it back to them. It's super simple to do. But you've got to make sure this information is congruent. And this is why I tell people that you need to set up your business the right way right from the beginning. Set up your address through a virtual address. Get your phone number set up. Get your entity set up as a corporation, etc. Why? Because if you're a sole proprietor, you're only going to get so big before you're going to have to change to a corporation anyways. So why not do it right from the beginning? Why use a mobile phone where for $15 a month you can get a business phone number? Why use your personal account to get yourself started when a business bank account you could start for only $25? Set up your business the right way from the beginning, so as your business grows and you need to change things, you don't have to go through this process to change it all. So for example, we use a physical address, but when we changed to this new location, we had to change our information everywhere. And even then, Dun & Bradstreet still populated a second DUNS number for us located at the second address, even though we did everything correctly. So by using a virtual address, even if you change locations 12 times, you still have the same address everywhere online because you have that address strictly for mailing. Okay, so this is why I really recommend virtual addresses, even if you have a physical address, because even if your office moves, you don't have to go through the nightmare of changing that address everywhere it's listed. If you've used your virtual address to list everywhere, then everything is the same. Even when you move physical locations, you still don't have to change that address. Reason number one for business credit application denial: you're jumping the gun. You're not going to get the business credit cards in the right way, the right order, or you're trying to get loans or high limit credit cards before you've established the basics that you need to be able to get approved. Okay. So how do you fix this? Well, you've got to build business credit properly. There's a certain series of steps to do this, and everybody wants to jump the gun, meaning that everybody thinks that not everybody, a lot of people have the misconception that business credit is a means to an end. I have to get vendor credit. I have to get store credit to get a Visa card. Don't do that. You look at what trade credit can do for you. Look at what vendor credit at places like Amazon and Walmart can do for you. Think about and get credit at places you could actually use, because in doing so, then it's not work to get the credit. It's a weight lifted off of you to get the credit, because you can actually ease your cash flow constraints because you have access to business credit. When you do this, you build business credit in the proper order. You can't walk into Staples to get your first business credit card. You can't walk in your bank. They're not going to approve you unless you already have prior credit established. You need credit to get credit. So you start with what's called trade credit, okay? And that trade credit is places like Uline and Quill that you need to make sure reports to the business credit reporting agencies, okay? Many of them are good about having a low credit score. So a lot of them, even if you have credit issues consumer-wise, they won't pull your consumer credit, so it's not a deterrent to be able to get approved. A lot of them won't even check it at all. Places like Uline, Quill, Granger, Gimplers, These places won't even ask for a social security number field. Well, Gimplers will, but you can leave it blank on their paper application. And they don't even check credit at all to get you approved. So when you have 5 to 8 of those vendor accounts reporting, then you move on to store credit. And that's Staples and Office Depot. That's Sam's Club, Sears. That's Sprint. That's Amazon. That's Apple. That's Dell, for example. You want to use your EIN, not your social security number on these applications. Now, Amazon's very helpful. They report to D&B, Equifax, and Experian. They'll check your business legitimacy by your online listings, which we've talked about before. And again, I saw the other day somebody get denied with Amazon because the phone number they had listed with that Amazon found on the application wasn't the same as what Amazon's online checks were showing. So they changed the phone number and they went out and got an immediate $6,000 approval with Amazon. So they are going to check that business legitimacy to get out of providing the personal guarantee. You should show at least 3 years time in business or have some of those initial established vendor accounts that we talked about. If you've got vendor accounts on your credit report, you can get around the time and business requirement. So let me go back and address this, because this is another common misconception about building business credit. A lot of people think that you have to have a certain amount of time in business or a certain amount of revenue to get around providing a personal guarantee. And to be honest, it makes perfect sense on why this is a misconception, because if you go to places like Staples or Office Depot, their online applications will tell you you need to be in business 3 years or have 1 million in revenue. But what you might not know is that in almost every case I've ever seen, you can get around the revenue and the time and business requirement if you have an established business credit report with scores that has history on it and the number of trade lines that you need to get approved. So if you come in to get an Amazon credit card and you have 6 or 7 accounts reporting on the business credit reporting agencies, you're going to get approved even if you've been in business in less than 3 years. Now, if you go to apply online, they may not tell you that. But again, the number of trade lines, the number of accounts you have reporting to the business credit reporting agencies is the number one most important factor that you need to watch when building business credit. It's way important, more important than time in business. It's way more important than revenue. You give me somebody with 10 trade lines that has been in business for 3 months and has $500 in revenue, I'll show you approvals all day long at places like Staples and Amazon that say they must be in business. You must be in business 3 years. The number of trade lines matters greatly. Now, after you've built some of these accounts, then you want to move on to revolving store credit and what's called fleet credit. Fleet credit, you can oftentimes start to get with about 8 to 10 accounts. These are companies like Conoco, BP, Chevron, Sunoco. They offer gas and fuel and vehicle repairs and maintenance. That's what fleet sources do. And again, apply using the EIN, not your social security number. The final step is what's called cash credit. And this only comes if you have a history of handling your bank account responsibly. So there's 2 things that you need to get here. One, about 14 trade lines reporting to get this. Second, you need to make sure that you have one of those trade lines that has a $10,000 high credit limit. If one account has a limit of $10,000 and you have 14 accounts reporting, that's what you need to start getting MasterCards, Visa cards, American Express credit cards, where you leave the social security number off the application and you get approved with EIN business credit quality only. Now, again, some sources may have a time business requirement. Some sources may have revenue requirements here, but in almost all cases, the number of trade lines you have will bypass those if you have enough trade lines. So by not applying for these immediately, your time in business increases, meaning when you do the steps properly and you don't even try to get to this kind of credit till 4 or 6 months down the road, when you have 14 trades reporting, then you have a longer time in business, which helps you anyways. And they also will have minimum paid X score requirements. A lot of retail store credit, a lot of fleet credit, a lot of this kind, or a lot of cash credit requires paydex score. And what it requires is about a 70 or higher. In a lot of cases, they want to see a 76 or a 78 or higher. It should tell you what that means. A 70 paydex score means that you pay your bills on average 14 days late. And an 80 paydex score means you pay your bills on time. So a 75 or a 76 may reflect that you're about 7 days late on average, but not really late. So the one thing to do to get a good paydex is just simply pay your bills as agreed. And that's going to give you the score that you need to then move on and start getting other kinds of credit. So we've talked about 7 different reasons here on why business credit applications get denied. Let's jump into some additional bonus reasons. One, you're missing any licenses that you need. So if your company needs licensing or bonding based on the industry or state you're in, you need to make sure that you get that. You could check with the industry associations that regulate your industry, Secretary of State, even the county to see if you need licenses. So for example, in Florida, in a lot of counties, you have to have an occupational license, even if you're a home-based business here. Okay, in a lot of states, you don't need that. So this is why you want to check your county. You want to check the Secretary of State in your industry for those kind of restrictions. Try to see it, again, from the lender's perspective. They don't want to be able to lend money or issue money to a business that's not even doing business legitimately. They want to do business with a business that's going to be around the long term. So not having licenses, well, that jeopardizes your ability to continue to do business. If you're an unlicensed plumber out doing plumbing work, well, then credit issuers and lenders really don't want you to be unlicensed because you're not going to have a lot of longevity without a license. So from a bank's perspective, that becomes very important. If you're sued or shut down for not having a license, well, then you can't pay your bills. Okay, so they don't want that to happen either. So you got to make sure that you have your licensing in order. So let's recap here. For the 7 most common reasons that the applications are denied. 1, business credit doesn't come automatically. You have to focus on building it because unlike consumer credit, where almost all credit issuers report to the consumer reporting agencies, 97% of trade vendors don't report. So you have to consciously go out and look for credit issuers in the beginning like Uline, Quill, who do. You need to pay those bills as agreed, and next ones you apply for, you need to leave the social security number off the application to make sure they report on your business credit reports. There are various reasons that application may be denied. Company legitimacy is one of them. You got to make sure you follow those steps. And again, I have webinars, if you go to youtube.com/credit suite, that are completely and only done on the credibility things that you need to set up to be a setup legitimacy. You need a business phone number, a fax number, a professional website, for example. You need to have a separate business bank account. A lot of credit issuers for business credit will ask for bank references. Your company has to have an EIN number. Remember, the EIN number is what business credit's built under, and you need to have an entity, preferably a corporation, or if you're anything other than that, at least choose an LLC to limit your liability and to help with tax purposes. You need to have a DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet. It's free. You can go to creditsuite.com/DUNS, no dashes in between the letters to get it, or just Google free DUNS number to get a link there. We just put it at creditsuite.com/DUNS so you have an easy way to access it. Poor credit history, personal or business, can hurt you. Okay, if you have credit issues on the consumer side, fix them. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see and type in credit repair, you'll see we've got a video that teaches you how to fix your credit or work with a legitimate credit repair company to help you on that. If you have problems with business credit, we've got videos on our channel that will teach you how to fix damaged business credit. And again, we do that as a free service for all of our clients and partners as well. Another reason for denial is inconsistent information because credit issuers need to match when they search for your business online. Okay, so that means that your bank statements, your utility statements, your rent, your Yellow Page listings, your Google and Bing places for business, your Facebook account, your website, they should all have the same business name, the same address, the same phone number as what's listed on your business application, and it all needs to be congruent. Don't jump the gun. Don't apply for credit in the wrong order. You must have starter credit first till you have the first 5 accounts. Then you can get Amazon and BP, or you can get Amazon and Dell and Apple store credit. Then you can start to move on to the Visa cards, the Cash credit cards with about 14 accounts reporting. So make sure you do that in the following order. If you apply for high limits or favorable terms before a creditor is willing to provide them, then they're going to turn you down. And that's what it comes down to. Look, I talk a lot about business credit, and I talk about it where it's so simple, but those people that have tried it know it's not simple. That's why we have a business where people pay us thousands of dollars to help them do it for them, because we take years of business credit building and condense it to months because we help you overcome all those barriers. But you've got to remember that if you're doing this on your own without help from a company like ours, then this is trial and error. You're going to apply a lot of places and get denied, because even though you need 5 accounts to start applying for retail store credit, You may get approved for Dell with 5 accounts. Apple may require 8. If you don't have access to a system like ours to tell you how many accounts you need reporting to get Apple, then the only way you're going to know is to try to apply, get denied. Go get another credit card, get denied. Go get another one, you get approved. Then you use that one, and then you go back to Apple and you try and you get denied again. Then you get another credit card, you get approved. Then you use that one, and that's the only way. It's trial and error. So if you don't have a system like our finance suite that tells you here's how many accounts you need reported to get this source, then it's just a matter of trial and error. You're going to have to apply and get turned down to realize how many of sources you or how many accounts you need reporting to get approved. So don't forget to get all the licensing your company needs as well. So again, hopefully that gives you good summary information of the 7 most common reasons that business credit applications are denied. We have a bunch of free information on our other platforms. So if you go to creditsuite.com, at the top right of our page, you'll see links for places like our Facebook, where we go live every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, and we answer questions for you. It's the only live time you get with me where any question you ask will be answered. Okay. Twitter. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, where we have hundreds and hundreds of videos that help you build business credit, get financing, grow a business. You can even access our iTunes link so you can listen on the go. We release 2 episodes per week on iTunes. One is a session like this. One is an interview. We only do our interviews on iTunes. So it's a great opportunity to listen to our podcast, The Business Credit Financing Show, and get a bunch of information there as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. Or send us an email, info@creditsuite.com. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, I look forward to seeing you live again next Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. If you're listening on our podcast, and again, we release episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, so I look forward to you listening in on our next episode as we go live. Thanks, everybody, very much for tuning in. Now you know the 7 most common reasons that business credit applications are denied and what you need to do now, the action steps you need to take to make sure that you're set up credibly to have the best chance of getting approved for credit lines, loans, and business credit to grow your business. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.